It's so hard to do good work when you're uncomfortable because you don't know what that person does or what that person does.
Yeah.
Or like, am I standing in the wrong spot? You can't be vulnerable and present and do your best work unless you feel comfortable with everyone else on set.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Cinematography for Actors podcast. I'm Haley.
I'm Indiana.
I'm an actor. Indiana is a DP.
And now apparently an actor after a workshop we did.
Yeah, we did a workshop. More on that later, actually. But actually, Indiana's a really good actor, guys.
Okay.
She doesn't believe it, but I'm telling you, she knows room dangers. She knows them and she plays them. We're so excited today because we have an incredible guest.
Yes.
We have Alexandra Wright coming in to talk to us. Alexandra Wright is this incredible powerhouse of an actor with lots of training, impressive training, a ton of credits.
Yeah. You've seen her on Grace and Frankie, This Is Us, Chicago PD, Solve, Tales. You've seen her in a lot of stuff. You've seen that face before.
She also owns and runs a supportive community for actors.
Oh, yeah.
All of the things that we've been talking about that are so important for actors, she provides them through this community called the Delta Acting Community. And actors who join have access to not just the community, which is a very active Facebook community. I don't know how she has the time to do that, but she is live constantly.
Private coaching calls, group calls, accessible resources for actors.
All kinds of training. And then she has like huge players in the game coming and talking to her community and teaching them things.
Yeah.
Help self-taping, a database of monologue and monologue resources.
Wow, that's cool.
So if you are looking for something and you need to like put something together, it's a great place for that. A lot of text analysis helps. So if you are struggling with a script, you can look into that.
I can tell just by Haley talking about Alex and her community how excited you really are to bring this to the podcast and also to the CFA community, because we'll be having, in addition to this podcast, a seminar with her on the 20th, which I will drop with Haley onto our socials a link for, so that all of our CFA community can attend. But we will just be going into exactly what we talk on the podcast about. And so what a great time of year, 2023, starting off, community merging, getting those actors and filmmakers together. So if you have any questions about that, I'm sure they're going to be answered in this episode. And we're so excited to welcome Alex to this episode. This is great.
It's so cool to find a community that all the things that you learned in school and may have forgotten and may not feel like you have time to work on, there's a place for you to look at that and find support in that as well.
You'll also see her at our February 9th event at Cook in Burbank. If you're interested in attending that event or future events, make sure you sign up on our newsletter, which allows you access to what events are happening, whether organized by us or given permission to pass along for other events that have happened, like the Zeiss pre-Sundance party that we just sent out invites to. So a lot of great things happening this year. So let's get on with this episode.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
This is Cinematography for Actors. I'm Haley.
I'm Indiana.
I'm an actor.
I'm not. I'm
Indiana is a DP. And we have a really cool guest with us today.
Someone Haley is very excited about. She never gets this excited about my friends, but it's fine.
You know her from the stage. You know her from the screen. You know her from Delta Acting Community. You know her from school sometimes. It's Alexandra Wright.
Now, do you prefer that? Like, that was just like, that was wild.
Everything I've ever wanted.
Unhinged.
Yeah, just like everywhere. You've seen her everywhere.
Everybody.
She's absolutely everywhere.
If you're a casting director, you've seen her so many times.
You've seen those beautiful self-tapes.
You call her in, you want to see her. You've seen her Actors Access. You've seen her IMDb.
She's in the talkies. Yeah.
Don't start that.
I know, sorry. We have voices, we do.
Please do
We're a
that.
real couple.
Absolutely. Haley's very good at it. You should do the intro again with that voice.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh no. It's too much.
Pressure. The pressure.
That's too much. I can't handle it.
That. I love it so much because she's very good. She even knows like the terms.
Like skirts
And tacos.
and takis.
But tacos. She like makes a really wide mouth when she does it too. So she goes, but tacos. Yeah. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. That was such a lovely and entertaining introduction. Thank you so much, Haley.
Fantastic. I'm so glad because I'm sweating.
Yeah. Now you are gonna hear. Do you prefer Alex, Alexandra?
You can call me whatever you want. All my friends call me Alex.
Okay.
My family calls me Allie Cat.
So cute.
Cat.
Oh.
When I first moved out here, I had a horrible manager who was like, everyone will think you're a boy unless we call you Alexandra. And I was like, really? You don't think they'd like
Get
look
it
at my
at
face
this point?
and think
Yeah, I
that's
know.
not a
You're
boy?
definitely a girl.
So professionally, I am Alexandra, but you can call me Alex.
Okay, great. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
This is Alex.
Yeah,
Hi.
and she is joining us here because through a incredible series of events, we've been connected,
Yes.
and that stemmed from Yaroslav, who is at No Film School as a tech editor, and his fiancee Sarah,
yes, I love
who
them.
you are friends with.
I am. I love Sarah.
And then they ended up talking about us, thank God,
Yeah.
because
Amazing.
we've been connecting.
Yes.
And now we're on a podcast together, and we have some exciting news about joining the Delta acting community later
Thanks,
on.
y'all.
But welcome to our
Thank
podcast.
you. I'm so happy that I have met y'all. And
I know.
from that first Zoom, I was like, we're going to be friends.
We are going to be
We're gonna
friends.
be friends.
Gonna
We
be.
played Shakespeare games
We
on
did.
New Year's, so,
We so
it's
did.
official.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That
Yeah.
was so much
That's when
fun.
you know the connection is real.
When I'm playing Shakespeare games.
When Indiana will sit down and play a Shakespeare game. For
and Haley
you.
looks at me and I'm like, I don't know anything, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So much fun. Okay.
Yes.
Let's start from day one.
Okay, great. I want to move this. Can I move this microphone?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Haley.
Okay, Alex.
Okay,
Start
Haley.
from day one. Tell us about your life and
Oh my gosh.
what made you want to be an actor.
Oh my goodness. Oh God. How far back do we want to go? Like
Oh
where
my
are we
God.
starting?
As far back as you can remember.
To the land before time.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So like I was born.
She was born.
I was born in a very small community in Mississippi called Cleveland, Mississippi. And according to my very dramatic mother, I've always said that I was going to be an actor. And I certainly do remember being like the monologue on the fireplace kid. Yeah, it's probably annoyed everyone in my family. There's like a video of me being like, sit down, I'm going to do a monologue. And I'm like 3. I don't know how I learned that word.
Fantastic.
Stop it. Did
Yeah.
you have a very thick
Oh.
accent as a kid?
Very thick.
So cute.
Very thick. So thick that actually when we moved to Texas when I was 6, our teachers like couldn't understand me or my sister. And so my mom put us in singing lessons thinking that would help with the accent. And then from there we saw a community theater production of Peter Pan. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. And so my mom let us audition for their next show, which was The Wizard of Oz.
Your mom was a performer too.
My mom is
Pageant?
my mom is a model.
Model.
Yes. And then she ran like a modeling company and an etiquette like workshop. It's a long story in
Awesome.
Mississippi.
So you have great manners.
You think I would. I mean, I can turn it on. I can certainly turn it on when needed.
Yes.
But most nights I'm like, let's sit on the floor in front of the couch and eat pizza. But
You don't really need, you don't
Yeah,
usually
know.
need it anymore.
But if I was to ever meet the queen, I would know exactly what to do.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's the good news. But so yeah, my mom is very dramatic and she's a storyteller and fabulous. But yeah, so I did Wizard of Oz. I was a Lollipop Guild munchkin. And very cute. And then from there, just, continued to do it in middle school. And then I went to a high school. It was a public high school in Texas, but we were really fortunate to have a really intense drama department. So we'd get there early and like dress out in our like black theater kid outfits and we'd do Stanislavski and
Oh my god.
Uta Hagen, and yeah, it was pretty intense.
That's
and then
pretty advanced.
it was very advanced. And then from there, went to college and then grad school. So it was always something I wanted to pursue. It's always been a part of me. But you know, didn't like grow up in LA. No one in my family is in the industry. I mean, my mom models in Mississippi, but no one is like, you know.
Yeah.
So definitely was a learning curve.
Because you came here for school.
Mhm.
What was your process of deciding on universities and like auditioning?
That's a really good question, because for the longest time, I thought I was just going to go to conservatory because
Right.
my high school, they didn't push that, but they had schools that they had connections to and with, and
Yeah.
programs that they kind of funneled their students into, and the majority of them were conservatories. And so I was like, well, I guess that's what I'll do. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I really love academics though. Like I was always kind of a nerd. And my sister at the time was at Texas A&M University, which has like football and sorority life. And I would go see her at school, and I was like, man, I kind of wish, like, I kind of want this experience. So there was a guy in my high school who had graduated the year before me, and he had applied to USC, didn't get in. He was like, I loved it. You would love it. And so I was like, well, why not? Like, I'll apply to like 2 universities. So I did 3. I did NYU, Oklahoma, because our random. They have a really good theater department though, and our school had a connection with the lady who ran the department. So applied to Oklahoma, and then USC. Never even visited USC. Had never even been to California.
Oh my god.
I got into NYU, and then I got into USC, and whoever did the marketing material for USC did a really good job, because I opened it. My mom like gave it to me in the car, just be like, oh, you got in, because everyone thought I was going to go to NYU.
Yeah.
And I opened it up in the car, and I was like, I'm going to go to USC.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh
I
my
love following
gosh.
the dreams, following the heart,
Yeah.
just going
Yeah.
for
Knowing.
it.
Just like I was looking at the pictures and like the palm trees.
I bet.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, this is so beautiful.
Dreams are
And-
made here.
Yeah, pretty much. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to go to USC. And my mom cried. She was like, you've never even been to California. And
Yeah.
my dad for months thought I was going to South Carolina.
Oh my God, yeah. You told me this. Yeah. You told us this
Yeah.
at dinner, and we were like, this, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So,
And
no,
I
it's
find it hilarious.
It was just like so sweet, because, you know, in Mississippi, if you hear USC, you think South Carolina. So my dad was like, you keep talking about being out there with all this film. And I didn't know South Carolina had a big film scene. And I was like, what are you talking about?
I'm not talking about South
so-
Carolina.
And my grandma was like, you're going to break off into the ocean with all those fornicators. Like, my family just thought I was
Yes.
crazy.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that was the process. And part of that process, of course, was auditioning and choosing monologues. And looking back, I'm like, I don't know how anyone ever accepted me into their program, because I did the Duchess of Malfi, which, and I didn't read the play. And then I did the Days and Nights of B.B. Finstermaker, like just pieces
Wow.
that like didn't suit me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm now on the panel to audition kids for UCLA.
Uh-huh.
And I just look at
that's
it's
That's so full circle.
it's so fun. It's so fun. But I think about my audition, and I'm like, I would never have let myself in, like ever. And then in my NYU audition, I talked about sloths, like just to, you know, it was an experience.
Just
you
like
were your
told a
authentic
story.
self.
I was my authentic
Yes.
self.
That's why you got in.
That's probably.
But I mean, you'd had also, it sounds like the high school you went to, you were really prepared, like maybe more prepared than a lot of kids who just come from
True.
like, high school acting. Right?
That is true. And this is where I think self-awareness and mindset is really important, because I certainly could have been more prepared. I kind of shot myself in the foot. Like, I definitely self-sabotaged. And I remember one of my acting teachers at the time, who I'm still dear friends with, Mark Keith, he said to me, don't shoot yourself in the foot. And it was the first time anyone had ever pointed out to me like a mindset habit that I had. And I certainly did. Like, I knew to read the play. I knew to pick monologues that were right for me.
see.
You know what I mean? Like, I could have been more prepared, but it was just like a self-sabotage thing, you know?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who feel it's a mindset thing of like, if you don't try too hard,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, you won't look like a fool.
Yeah, because you can then say,
Yeah.
well, I didn't really try
didn't
hard.
try.
I didn't try.
I feel like I'm a really good audience member here, because I'm, for once, have no idea what you guys are talking about with monologues. But how do you, if those were the wrong monologues for you, how do you determine the right monologues when like applying or determining the right monologues?
That's another really all good questions.
You gotta know yourself.
You have to, you really do. I
Okay.
mean, you have to know. I mean, I love monologues because I think they're such a great like litmus test for a performer in terms of knowing who they are and knowing the kind of art they want to do.
Interesting.
So when I talk to students about choosing pieces, like my first question is always like, what kind of artist do you want to be? Like, what are the stories you want to tell? I think the monologues you choose speak just as loudly about who you are as a performer as how you perform those monologues, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because you're presenting like, this is the kind of work I do. These are the kind of playwrights I like. These are the kind of stories I want to tell. And look, when you're 18, you're not necessarily thinking about that. I certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it got like to, I'm auditioning next week and I have chosen nothing. I mean, that's how late I put it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I auditioned for grad school, I was like, we're going to do this different. And then, of course, you just know, going back to knowing yourself, you start to know the ways you self-sabotage or procrastinate or don't show up. Like, the work we all do as artists is so vulnerable that I think it's really easy to put everything off. You know, I have a friend who's like, my house is never cleaner as when I have an audition to tape.
Yeah.
Because she just wants to clean, you know, you do everything else other than the actual work. And so, I know that's not necessarily answering your monologue question. I mean,
it does a little bit. I mean, because it's like finding out, and I think probably I would imagine through that process of finding that monologue, you're finding out about yourself, about who you like and whatnot. And then I'm sure the more you talk about it, the more it opens up the other playwrights and the other stuff that you're more interested in. So
absolutely.
that's cool.
Well, it's like, you know, if you were applying to film school and you have to present, you know, two of your like pieces, you know, it always just like makes me laugh when actors are like, will you choose a monologue for me?
Oh,
I'm like, no. Like, there's just so many, there's like, I don't want to choose.
So personal.
Exactly. It is, you know, it's like, that's your stamp to say like, this is who I am. This is the work I want to do. This is where I'm headed. And so I can give you ideas in terms of like playwrights you might resonate with, but at the end of the day, you have to choose the pieces that you feel like speak to you as an artist and speak about you too as an artist, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are your ideal monologues? Have you found yourselves? Do you know what your monologues are? Your ideal monologues?
No, I don't know.
You don't
I
know
don't know
at all?
No, I mean, like, I know parts that I would like to play, but
Okay.
I think we know this, that I'm on a big journey this year of radical self-acceptance that I
Love that.
and I haven't done that ever before. So I don't think I could know yet.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think it changes too. You know, I think
Cool.
I always tell my students to have like 8 monologues in their back pocket ready to go. Cause I think, you know, I always joke, like, if you meet someone who's like a classically trained pianist, you're like, play me something. They play you something and you're like, play me something else. And they're like, that's all.
I can.
That's all I know. You know, actors do that all the time. It's like, have at least 8 pieces ready to go.
Yeah.
That are like, you know, 2 Shakespeare contrasting, 2 contemporary contrasting, another kind of classical or heightened language piece that's not in verse, something that's kind of broad and character driven, something that's small and subtle and can be done like in an office, like a manager's office or casting director's office, and then something that showcases a special skill, like an accent or language, or like a foreign language, something that, you know, having like a repertoire that really encompasses who you are and the work you want to do.
Yeah.
And that can sound like so much and be very overwhelming. But the thing is, if you're at a point where you know yourself and you know what kind of art you want to make, those things very easily.
Oh, yeah.
And you're resonating with every single piece, and so it's exciting to have them with you.
Absolutely.
But if you're lost still, it's going to feel overwhelming.
Yeah, and you don't need to do all of that at once. Certainly
Take
not.
your time.
Take your time.
Were you stage to screen? Were you screen and stage? Or were you like, did you jump? I'm trying to use my actor words.
Was it
'Cause I know you
theater
did London.
first for
Oh,
a
yes.
very long time
Yes.
before you
Yes.
decided
Yeah,
to
I wanna
be a
be
film
quoted.
actor?
No, I
Was it
like the
stage
stage
to
to screen.
screen?
I
Stage
liked
to
that. I like that.
We're doing like a round table this year, which is all about how to do stage to screen. So how to
So
jump
will you
from
come on our round table?
I
Yeah,
will
join,
happily. I
join.
would love to. I would love to.
Yeah.
But yes, I started off in theater. Yeah, and all my training and undergrad and grad, it was all theater based. I don't even think we had like any sort of on-camera class, which I have a lot of opinions about.
Yeah.
By the way, like,
Good.
I think and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. Like, you know, I think it is important. It is incredibly important for actors to understand, obviously, what it's like to be on set, to understand cameras. My big annoyance, though, are schools that say we teach film acting, because in my mind, acting is acting. And understanding film acting, to me, that's understanding the technical side of what filmmakers do and how to be on set. But to say, like, we're going to teach you how to act for film for 4 years, I'm like, no, that's just, to me, that's scammy.
It's just an SEO plug.
SEO,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, what we have kind of been saying is, like, acting is acting and acting for film is acting plus.
Yes.
Like, the technical side comes on top of it.
Yeah. Just like how there's like
the
technical
only thing.
stuff for theater acting too,
Yeah.
you know, if you are going from screen to stage and you've never done a play before, then you're going to have to learn the, you know, vocabulary of being, you know, in a theater, and that the vocabulary of turning out to the audience and projecting your voice. So every medium is going to have its own specific set of skills that actors need to be able to adapt to. But to say like, I'm a film actor and I don't do theater, or, you know, I'm a theater actor and I don't do film. It's like, it's all the same. Like, all we're doing is just trying to look believable.
Yeah.
We're just trying to tell a story.
You've inspired Haley
Stop it.
to get back into theater.
Oh my God, really?
I mean, I wanted to before, but then like we came to New Year's and I was like, these guys they're talking about Shakespeare auditions that they've had recently. And I was like, I want to do that.
Oh
like,
my
it
God,
was
please.
killing me.
Join the
I wanna
cult.
do.
Yeah.
Join the
So
theater cult.
time to start finding out who I am and what my monologues are.
I will help
again.
you. I
Oh
will
my
help you
God,
find
I
our
would love that.
faces.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So what was, okay, London was grad school.
London was part of undergrad.
Okay, undergrad.
You
And
went
how long?
to BADA?
Correct.
Okay. British American Dramatic Academy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there for a semester.
BADA.
Bada. Yeah. So basically, I had gone to France the summer before to just, quote unquote study French, and obviously all I did was just like eat crepes.
Yes.
Je m'appelle Alex.
Exactly. Je m'appelle Alexandra.
Yeah.
So I was there for a summer, fell in love with a French man, and then got back to USC, and I was like, I have to go back to France.
Yeah. You're like, it's the love of my life.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Just like, I have to get back there. And then the theater department was like, you could go to London. That's close enough. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
It is like 2-hour train ride, right?
Yeah. Channel, yeah.
Yeah. And by that point, I had fallen in love with someone else. You know how it is. So then I just
Yes.
went to London and studied and had like a blast. So that was at BADA. And then grad school was in Boston and Cambridge. And then part of that was in Russia. So that was
cool.
our overseas portion, was Moscow.
Very cool.
Yeah. Меня зовут Sasha. That's how you say it. My name is
Yeah, what was
That-
that school in Moscow?
Moscow Art Theater.
Yeah.
Stanislavski
That's
School.
where I paid for someone to go.
What?
Oh.
You paid for someone to
The
go?
drama comes out.
Yeah. It's a long story, but I was supporting someone who.
Let's remind each other that Haley is on a journey of radical self-acceptance this year. So
I love myself. I love my choices.
And we love you.
I am good enough.
Yes,
That's
you
amazing.
are.
LA. So you came back after London and Moscow and everything?
I did. So at
Okay.
the end of Moscow, so we did Moscow, and then we had our final year of grad school back in Cambridge, Mass. So finished grad school, and then of course you do like a New York showcase and an LA showcase. And actually at the time I had just been cast in this is a great stupid story. So I had just been cast in the Shonda Rhimes, KJ Steinberg pilot. I was cast as a co-star. It was my first TV thing ever, which is a whole other story of like how confused I was on set. And as a co-star, it's not like you can be like, can someone help me? Like you're literally there to just like blend into the wallpaper and say one line, you know? So, very lost and confused. Had my co-star, got me into SAG though, very grateful. And, I'm on set. It's me, the other like head made co-star person. It was an American version of Downton Abbey, basically. Cool. And, it was very fun, great costumes. And then it was the lead, and then who I thought was her assistant, because she was hanging around feeding her like grapes and like cheese cubes because we couldn't eat a ton of food because we were in these corsets. And I just like started talking to her. Like she just seemed super cool. And then we had our lunch break, and she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, you're local to Boston, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay, cool, because we're gonna make you a recurring if we get picked up." And I thought she was KJ Steinberg, and I had no clue.
God, you
and I
just been
just chatting about like cheese, you know, and grapes.
That's always how it happens.
you gotta
Even
be-
at networking events, PSA, always go to the food table if you don't know someone at a party, because the easiest thing to talk about is the food.
What's on the
And
table.
also, like, treat people like people.
Yeah.
And not like you need something from them.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like talk to them like they're human
Yeah.
beings. But
Oh
then
my
sadly
God.
it wasn't picked up, which was very sad.
got it.
So very sad. So we had a showcase in New York and a showcase in LA. And I always figured I would come back to LA because I already had a community here from undergrad. And then I had a better response from agents and managers at the LA showcase. So I moved back.
Oh, that's cool. Do they like invite a bunch of different types of managers and agents, and then they kind of like
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's like, it's a very
Scary.
bizarre, like,
yeah.
it's like you're selling your wares.
It really
you know?
is
Like
like,
you're-
selection day. Like,
Yeah.
or adoption day.
Yeah, it's like
Adopt
adoption.
me.
It does feel like that. And then you take meetings and, you know, again, because no one teaches you anything, you go into these meetings and you just sit there like, please like me still. And no one talks to you about how to have conversations with reps. Like, what are the questions you ask and what do you come in with so that they want to work with you? And how do you build a relationship as like colleague to colleague and not like this weird power dynamic where you feel like you have to beg someone to work with you. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
again, it's like mindset stuff.
Yeah.
Self-worth stuff, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah. And then
Your community actually helps with that a little bit.
thank
right?
you. That is a big goal of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of conversations around that because, you know, I'm a big believer in like, we talk a lot about building relationships because I'm a big believer in that you have to treat everyone like a colleague. You can't be making yourself small in front of people.
Amen, sister.
This is a big thing that
Love
Indy
that.
loves.
I love it.
Yeah.
I literally love community, connecting people, redefine like appropriating networking for actors, because the word networking, Haley
It's
told me, is
so
a
gross.
bad word.
Yeah.
And in
like a dirty word.
in our part of the end, like in the camera side or whatever, the crew side, below the line side, it's like a healthy thing that we're expected to do and actually enjoy because you're catching up with people you love. But I just want to like change that vibe so much because it's so important to have a supportive group around you.
Yes, I think for actors, like, it's kind of sad. I think we're made to believe that, like, no one wants to hear from you.
I
No one
know.
wants to talk to you. Just be grateful to be, like, invited into the room and then sit there and be quiet and don't bug anyone.
And shut up and look pretty.
Yeah,
in
shut
front
up
of
and
the
look-
camera and say just the lines you've been given.
Exactly. Like, so much of our power,
It's hard.
I don't want to say is taken from us. We kind of give it away because we believe these things. Versus, you know, I'm constantly reminding people, like, when you're reaching out and connecting with casting directors. Now, let's be clear. Casting directors, I think it should be, or people in the industry that you have some sort of connection with already. Like, I call it a warm connection. Even if it's just like, hey, I listened to you speak on that panel,
Yes.
you know? But you letting them know what you're up to, you're helping them do their job. Like, it's casting's job to know about what actors are up to, what they're working on.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're hired to do, is to know all that information.
Yeah.
And to go, well, I don't want to bug them. I'm always like, the fact that you're worried about bugging them lets me know that you're not going to bug them.
Yeah.
You have awareness.
Right.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's like always, and it's like, it's what you're saying. I think it's just defining it as like having an equal relationship
Yeah.
with everyone, like treating each other as equals, seeing them as an equal, not someone in a hierarchy.
Exactly.
Because then the way you're going to come off is that you could build an authentic friendship, or you could like just build a great professional relationship
Yeah.
with that person. And you're not seeing it as like favor. You're seeing it as like, let's help each other out.
Yes.
Let's keep up to date, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I always say in your emails, like, don't ask for anything. Like, just like congratulate them on their wins. Like, people in the industry have their own goals too and things that they're striving for and
Yep.
striving to do. And if you see that they're doing that, congratulate them the same way like you would want to support a friend.
Yeah.
And this also doesn't mean you have to like be buddy with everyone. Like, if you're on set and you don't really click with someone, that doesn't mean the thing you have to force something.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think networking feels gross when it feels inauthentic.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's just about being authentic in that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite message of all time.
Okay. End of podcast.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
We're done.
I want to ask you about, was the Shonda Rhimes pilot your first thing on set?
Yes.
Like your first on set job?
Yeah, well, I had done like background.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, that was my first thing that I auditioned for and booked. And I remember they called me and they were like, "You're on Avail," and I was like, "Great." And I was like,
What does that mean?
"What does that mean?"
You like Googled it. You were like, avail. Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first
Amazing.
job.
Okay, I want to talk technically. How did that feel? Did you feel like were you in a place yet where you knew that there was technical information and camera information and things like that you weren't armed with? Or were you like, I'm good?
Oh, I knew that there were things that I didn't know. I don't think I knew how much I didn't know.
Right.
If that makes sense. But yeah, and I think, something that y'all are shifting, which I love, is that, in the theater world, the crew and the cast, like everyone's a big family, and you do a designer run, and the designers will tell you like, here's what we're doing with the lighting, and here's why.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that.
Really designer runs are really cool. Yeah, and they'll be like, we want to do this kind of lighting because it symbolizes this. Now, this is not every theater. Not every theater will do a designer run, but most like equity theaters will, and it's just so nice because then you're like, okay, cool. So now I can like do my job in a more specific way to help you do your job.
You
right?
have the context.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like you can rehearse and visualize what is happening on the stage around.
That lighting cue is going to happen then, and it turns a little warmer, so maybe you can feel more, like that's awesome.
Cool.
And then you have tech rehearsals where you're also seeing that stuff all happen live.
Yeah.
And I love that y'all are creating a space where actors can have these conversations with filmmakers and can have this conversation with crew members, because I showed up on set and I was like, I'm not supposed to bug anyone. It's that thing again of like,
that's what Haley always said. It was like at the beginning too.
Like,
yeah,
kind of like they're like, stand here, and you're like,
okay, and you're like, can I introduce myself? I don't want to bug anybody. Again, that thing.
Know who you're allowed to talk to.
Well, again, it's that whole thing of like, no one likes the actor. It's that like feeling of like, don't bug anybody. So yeah, no, I knew I didn't know everything. I didn't know how much I didn't know until I got to set. And that whole thing of like, hurry up and wait is so true.
Yes.
I was like waiting around, and then they threw me in hair and makeup, and then halfway through hair and makeup, they were like, Wright and Alex on set. I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble, And then they like put me, and I think first I almost I didn't go to base camp. I first went to the location and then realized that, I need to go to where trailers are. That's base camp. And then went to base camp. Like I was just so confused. Like,
of course,
getting a call sheet. I was like, what is
You're like, how do I start to break this down and read this?
Yeah. I had no idea how to read one. I didn't know what the numbers meant.
Yeah. Did you have reps at the time who were like, didn't? Okay. I was like, they didn't even like, they knew this was your first thing. They didn't even tell you.
No, I was
figuring it out
all alone. And so then, like, Wright and Alex, and so like threw me in transpo and like took me, to location, and it was the rehearsal, and I was like, like my hair was still in curlers, and like, it's okay, this is just rehearsal. And then I was like, but I haven't rehearsed anything. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be like
I don't know,
like a stage rehearsal.
I just want to hug you.
I was very confused.
And then
I showed up, and the director like shook my hand very quickly. And he was like in the middle of also directing Game of Thrones, and so that was like all I knew about him was that he was like a Game of Thrones director.
So you're sitting there like,
I was like, hi.
Yeah.
And then he was like, all right, let's rehearse. And I was like, but no one has told me anything.
Oh no.
Like,
I don't know where to stand.
Where do I stand? Like, what do I do? And I mean, I was so lost. Thankfully, though, I had one line, like, welcome home, Miss Lily. It's kind of hard to like mess that up. So did the rehearsal, and then they threw me back in the van and took me back to hair and makeup, and we finished it all up. But I mean, it was a whirlwind of a day, and I loved it, but I also felt very lonely. I'll say that too. Like, part of what I love about acting, what I really love about theater, is like the families that you get to make. And being on set, I was like, no one wants to talk to me or bond or connect. Where's the family?
Yeah.
And then you just like leave and go home. And of course now it's different. You kind of know what to expect, but
and who you want to talk to and get to know, and the roles and responsibilities of each person. So what information is directed where.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Like you hear, like a film set does become a big family, or a television show becomes a family, but only if you're on it regularly. If you're not recurring, if you're not a series regular, if you're not a lead, like you really don't get the time to build those relationships.
No. And I get it. Like, when I was a series regular on the show that never aired, it's hard when every week you have new people coming in, and I feel empathy for them because I remember that.
Yeah.
And so you go up and you connect with them, but then you also go, I'm sure that as a series regular, if you're like on season 10 of Grey's Anatomy or whatever, 19, whatever it is, like, that is a whole other level of like energy output to lead a set and then make everyone feel comfortable. Like, that's part of being a series regular, but I can also like, I get it now why when I was doing co-stars, not everyone was coming up and like, welcome, let's talk about our fears.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
like
yes,
it's not like when you're doing a stage play.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think it's just like, I mean, what is really exciting about this new friendship that we're building
Yes.
is our communities and how important we all recognize it is that no matter what stage of this industry you're in, or whether you're theater, film, both, it doesn't matter, that we're kind of in this together and finding that camaraderie. So even if you're a co-star listening to the, like, even if you have something coming up and you're a little feeling alone on set, you still have a community that supports you, that you come back to share your experiences
Yes.
with.
Yes.
And that's what's really exciting about both of our communities. We have 2 things to announce.
Yeah.
First thing, we will be joining Alex's amazing Delta acting community on the 20th.
Yes.
To just talk and hang out and talk about what we're doing and the importance of the technical and of performance and things like that.
Share a couple tips.
Yeah. Whatever questions may be asked.
Tons of questions, I'm sure.
Great. I love a question. And then February 9th, we invite you and then your community. Yes. We're having an event at Cook, a lens company.
Cool.
That's being sponsored by them at their place in Burbank, and that will be similar to our Zeiss event.
Great.
But we'll do an educational component for actors before 10 to 15 actors, and that'll be the difference between spherical and anamorphic and how you appear on screen.
Ah, sweet.
Just the context. And then we will also have like our Speed Connect portion. So anyone who's afraid of networking, we will force you to talk to people and we will pick them for you. So you don't even have to be like, who should I talk to? Where's the cheese board that I should talk to people at that she mentioned? And then just like general mingling to continue those conversations.
Love that.
It's a really fun party.
So let's keep combining communities because I just love that word and I love that we're doing that.
Me too.
It's so exciting to be kind of like merging, like be able to like send people who are a part of our community to you and to Delta acting community, be like, there's so much support here for like solid acting, and then there's support here for making those connections interdepartmentally and technically.
It's better she said it, you know. It sounded lovely.
Sounded lovely.
Yeah, it did.
Now do it in your talky voice.
We're gonna teach you how to connect with each other. Toots.
Yes. Well, I mean, part of the reason that, you know, when Yara told me about y'all, I was like, oh, this is perfect, is because we do the shit they don't teach you in school series.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's just so much we don't know. It's like, okay, I know how to like break down Shakespeare and support my voice and like act like an animal, but I don't know like what a mark is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The
Or
very basics
how
of just getting there.
important a mark is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something I realized like you should stand on it. But until actually starting this and talking to Indy about it, I didn't realize that like if I'm not hitting that mark, I'm not in the depth of field that they need me in. And then there's a focus puller who, like, I actually talked to a focus puller once, and I was like, is it like a video game? And he's like, yeah, super stressful one.
Yeah, I bet.
He's like,
You're like, is your job a game?
is this fun? And he's
Is this
like,
a game?
Is this fun? Yeah, it's great when I don't get marks and then like have 30 seconds, one take, and it's like a oneer, and you walk from like here right into like minimum focus.
and
Love
nobody's
that.
hitting their marks.
Yeah.
It's a video game. If I don't win, I lose my job.
Oh, bless. I know. I always feel for focus pullers. I just see them and they
Hard
just
job.
always look like they're like sweating and like so focused. They're
so
so focused.
That's name of the game.
I have an embarrassing moment to tell.
Please
Ooh.
tell.
I've never told anyone because it's too embarrassing.
Let's tell everyone then.
I'm going to share it with you guys because we talked about monologues, and you should have monologues in your back pocket, and Bada, and it happened to me at Bada. So when I was living in London, I wasn't studying, but I wanted to, so I like joined the Actor Center, like, and I think I was in like Marylebone or something, and I was like, which other schools? And Bada is British American, and I was like, maybe I can just go have a meeting. Like, I just reached out to like whoever was in charge, the dean at the time or whatever, the head teacher, and I was like, can I just have a meeting with you? I just need advice on what I should do while I'm here. And I told him, you know, like what I was doing there and how I was just kind of like wanted to keep,
Do you remember
learning
his
and
name?
trying.
Was it Ian?
It was Ian.
I loved Ian.
That's so fun. I love that you know.
I wanted Ian to like me very much. But I went in, we're having this meeting, and he was so nice to me. And then he was like, do a monologue for me. And I was like, what? What? And he was like, do a monologue for me. And I was like, I'm not prepared. And he was like, how can you call yourself an actor if you can't do a monologue for me? And I was like, thank you, sir. Goodbye.
How old were you?
24. Wow. And I had graduated,
that just like makes my heart, hurt for you.
Had monologues, but I wasn't like ready. Nothing was ready, and I wasn't about to show them. So I was so embarrassed, and I was like, "How can I call myself?"
Oh no!
Oh, that's so.
Is that an expectation though that you should kind of always have one prepared?
Especially if you're like gonna be a theater actor. Like,
okay, got it.
Have them. I mean, you could be in like a film audition too, and they could be like, do you have anything else?
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Got
it. I mean, look, I love Ian, but that's a lot, you know, and that would have broken my heart. So I can only imagine.
It's very like an educator of him too, you know, to be like, young lady, get your act together.
Tisk.
It feels very like cinematic to me. I don't know.
It's my
like whiplash.
Maybe
moment.
my most embarrassing moment in my life. But I thought I would share.
I don't know. I saw photos of you with gray hair yesterday. It's pretty bad.
Maybe the most embarrassing moment of my life actually is showing you that and you going, you look hideous.
Because she's so
awful.
Gorgeous. We were with someone else too, and the other person, they concurred.
Well, I need to see this picture.
We'll post it on the Instagram so everyone can see it.
Perfect.
I'll show you. It's in here. You can see it after.
Haley has like
everybody can see what I looked like with white hair.
White hair that were like straight across bangs, flippy at the bottom, so it looked like a wig. And I was not expecting. I thought she was in a wig when she showed it to me. She was like, "No, this is from like the hairdressers," and I was like, rough day for you.
Hard. I was screaming for help.
That's what I found so funny.
That was my rock bottom, was white hair.
Yeah. Oh, bless. Yeah. Well, I had a moment like that with a teacher at USC. He was our on-camera teacher. So I lied. We did have an on-camera class. Mm-hmm. And he was great. And you would perform your scene. And if he didn't like it, he would go, how long did you spend on this? And it was such a trick question because if you were like, long, not enough time, like 30 minutes, and he'd be like, yeah, I can tell. So and he'd be like, so do you not take this class seriously? It would always be his follow-up question.
Yeah.
Or if you were like, I spent hours on it, he'd be like, then he'd be like, well then this is as good as it was after all that time. And then if you weren't prepared, he would go, you're either telling me one of two things, which is A, you don't have what it takes to be an actor because you can't memorize and prep things quickly, or B, you don't care about this class. And I remember always thinking like, no, there has to be a C. But as a teacher now, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
wow.
Like either like I tell them when they do their monologues, I'm like, you've had all quarter to work on this piece. Even if you decided to wait and choose it the night before, it should still be good.
You should have it memorized.
You should have it memorized. Yeah, you should have something because that's how much time sometimes you're going to get for an audition or even less than that. So you're either telling me that like you just really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Or you don't really have what it takes if you can't do a turnaround that fast.
Yeah. What's the expectation for memorization as an actor? Like how preparing something and memorizing it?
Like if you get something, you should be able to have it memorized over. Like you should just be able to memorize, it takes. I have been in a class. I'm not in it anymore. Actually, I was in a class for a while that we would get 4 pages in 15 minutes.
Oh,
and it was like stressful, but like it's memorizing is a muscle. Mm-hmm, so like the more you do it and the more you make yourself do it, like the faster you get at it.
Cool.
But college is so hard. Yeah. For that. Like, I feel like I was not ready for college. Like, so many kids aren't ready for college because it's like you're so coddled in high school, and then like it's like your professors have to be so hard on you to get you ready. Like, regardless of your field that you're choosing to go into. But yeah, I've been in rooms. I was in rooms in college where, the instructors would be like, maybe you're just not an actor. And just like,
I would never say that to someone. That's
somebody's
so horrible.
heart,
it's
but
so harsh.
if
wild.
they're not doing the work, they're not going to be able to do it.
It's crazy you can't say that to DPs and stuff. You can't be like, well, you're just don't seem to, you're not a DP. I mean,
you don't know where that camera goes.
Yeah. There's also this like, and this I think is getting better, but there's such, there's like a culture in some drama schools of abuse, of like, we're going to tear you down so we can build you back up.
We have spoken about this once before because we had a friend come visit who went into a class when she was living in LA. She lives in Austin now, living in LA. And the goal was to make people cry on stage, and people would throw insults at you to break you down to your core.
It's awful. It's awful.
Horrible.
Like, it's awful. I have so many thoughts on this because there's some acting classes can be like cults. Some acting classes can just be straight up abusive. And then there are drama programs, like 3-4 year programs, where their whole goal is like, we'll work you until you can no longer work. I was having a conversation actually with the head of my grad school program, and he was talking about how he's like, when you were there, we would work y'all the maximum number of hours we could per day, 6 days a week. He's like, we did that on purpose because we were trying to prepare you. And he was like, and now, of course, we see that that's not actually efficient or effective in teaching people how to be vulnerable and open. Like, actually, we're doing more harm than good. Yeah. But I remember them being like, it's our job to tear you down and then build you back up so that we can make you like this neutral, transformative blank slate. But it's very, it can be incredibly damaging, like the things said to actors. And again, that plays into then this idea. Then is it any wonder that we show up on set and we're like, I don't deserve to be here.
Absolutely.
No one likes me. I won't talk to anyone. It's
Didn't
really
that
horrible.
Friend also say that she was in a class where they would also do that, and the instructor was like, when you go on set, everyone's thinking this about you.
Yeah.
Basically telling them everyone on set hates them because
Did
they
she
got
say
that
the
job.
name of the studio?
No.
Yes, probably, but I forgot it. Yes, it was. Did she not? I thought she did.
I don't remember.
But yes, I think I got it out of her. It was one of those like wait list like celebrity people that you're not supposed to talk about that you're in their class kind of thing, which I found a few times now in conversation with people. Because it's like, oh, if it's this followed, it must be good. And then you get into that and it's almost like you're in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It can be very brainwashy.
Very scary. I mean, and I feel like now every single episode I'm like, I want to just reiterate that our job as filmmakers is to create a safe space for actors to work in. Whether that means telling the same story or legitimately having conversations around the practical elements of what's being involved, like what's happening, whether that be like guns, sensitive scenes, things like that. But just like, we are here to support you as DPs, as directors, as ADs, intimacy coordinators, costume makeup. And so like, if you are in a class where someone is telling you that people on set are going to judge you, or people on set are going to feel any certain way that isn't positive, I can assure you we are here to do our job. We want to get it done efficiently, and we want to tell the same story. Yeah. So show up and like succeed, because we are there with you.
Also, that is the proof of that is in a lot of the conversations we've been having, where a lot of the DPs or the operators who come on the show are telling us that their job has historically been to adjust some lighting or adjust their own mark before asking an actor to do it, because they want to protect an actor from the stress that a technical note can give them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
But
that's support.
Yeah. And if we can, I think like in a really fun way, if we can change that in this industry with that shift you addressed and start this earlier in an actor's career, it'll become a subconscious part of the process and preparation of an actor. Yeah. So when they get on set, they're confident and they're like, oh yeah, you want me to just lean back a little? That makes sense. Oh, you want me to like move because I'm casting a shadow? I can see that, and it's just like, that's happening in blocking. That's happening in rehearsal. So that when you're performing, it's second nature, like everything else. It's
so hard to do good work when you're uncomfortable because you don't know what that person does or what that person does. Or like, am I standing in the wrong spot?
Yeah.
Oh, did I just fuck something up? Like, you can't be vulnerable and present and do your best work unless you feel comfortable with everyone else on set. It's why, I do a lot of parts where I'm crying, like for some reason.
Really?
There was like a period of my life where I was like killed and everything and like always begging for my life. Funny. And so, a question I would get from a lot of people was like, how did you prepare for that? Did you like go sit in the corner and like work yourself up? I'm like, no, I'm literally talking and laughing with the crew up until they yell action, because that's the only way I know how to be comfortable enough to then release everything I need to release. If I'm not in relationship with the people around me on set, then I can't do that.
Haley
need it
needs
to
to
be
laugh
safe.
in order to cry.
I cannot cry on cue or camera unless it's a joke.
Well, then you should have taken my emotionality
You're-
workshop this morning.
You know what? I
Ooh,
saw that
cool.
was happening, and I was like, God damn it! Like, I want
We need
another
that
one.
link.
We're
Or, yeah, the next
going to
time.
be
Yeah.
watching that when it goes up.
It's great. It's
Talkies.
all about like how you can physically trigger emotions in the body.
Yeah.
It's like something I'm really passionate about with actors, so that you can be the person on set who can quickly drop into things and isn't holding up the set because you have to go connect with something and like beat yourself up to like try to find it in your body. It's like it's little shortcuts. It's great.
What was
Amazing.
your on-camera class? What were they teaching you in that class in school?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I'm wondering because Haley said that a lot of the on-camera classes that are currently marketed to actors don't actually teach you on-camera work. Like they'll show you one shot, a wide, and like break down that one shot, but they don't show how things come together, or they don't show like
No.
the context in which that is happening.
No, basically what this class was, and I'm not trying to poo-poo the class because it was a great class and a great teacher, but it was more, every week we would get new sides to work on, sides from TV and film, and then we would tape them. I think with the goal of helping us bring down our performance size to fit the camera, but and then we talked about just like audition technique, like how to audition for these things, but and like how to take a note. But no, it was not. Here's your mark. Here's your light. No, we didn't do any of that.
There is a wealth of on-camera audition courses around.
And then it's just like
And it's-
audition. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great for getting the part. You do learn, especially when you start in a theater background, you learn to bring it into the frame and then analyze that frame. But then what about when you get the part?
Exactly. No one tells you what to do once you get on set.
But we will.
We will.
And
together.
it's the number one question I get asked from people. Like the majority of the time, the questions I get from people are like, how do I pitch to reps? How do I connect with casting? And then what do I do once I book the job? Because they just don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel these days when you step on set about your communication? I'm sure now you know what everybody does on set, and your technical knowledge. Have things changed? Your emotions easier?
My emotions are easier. Yeah, things have changed. You know, just you learn on the job. It's just nerve wracking to have to learn on the job when you feel like you're going to get fired.
That's the thing. If
yeah.
you make a mistake and piss somebody off because you don't know what you're doing, you may not be invited back.
Yeah,
I mean, is that
high
case though?
Absolutely. That is
Yeah,
high.
yeah.
Like if you're a co-star on
Oh,
something.
okay.
And
Yeah.
you make a mistake that slows things down and costs a lot of money, it's not that they're going to be like, we hate that girl. It's just going to be like, we can't bring her back.
Yeah, and then
Or them
casting
back.
will find out. You know.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, I do feel more comfortable, but I think there's always like in the back of my head this thing of like, well, I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
You know, so
Interesting.
I think I have, whereas maybe there's still a little bit of fear if I'm being honest, but I think now it's more like a deeper respect for knowing that like you're an artist and that person's an artist and that person's an artist, and I'm never fully going to understand your job because I'm not you and I'm not you as an artist. So there's a deeper respect for that. But seeing people as colleagues and being able to have a conversation is, I think, really important. And again, it kind of goes back full circle of like knowing your worth, knowing what you bring, knowing that you're enough, knowing that you've been invited to that set, knowing that you've earned the right to be on that set. So I think I have like, it's not fear that makes me want to play small like it was before. It's like a healthy respect for everyone's knowledge and skill set, and knowing that I don't necessarily have that entire knowledge and skill set, but I have my own that I'm bringing, and I can ask questions for the things I don't know.
Are there questions that you find yourself asking not repeatedly on one set, but like just kind of like a routine question or during rehearsals or something?
I'm trying to think.
Besides,
Besides
what's my frame?
What time should I be there? Where's my trailer?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I like routinely ask. I don't think so. I wish
It
had.
depends.
It depends.
Yeah, it really does depend. I think I also like deeply trust directors that because I think when I first was on set, I think my first guest star, it was a lot of like, was that okay?
Right. Yeah.
Did I do that okay? You know, and now I just like if they need me to do it again, they'll ask. You know, if they
no
have a
news
note.
is good news.
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, no, I don't think there's anything. And to be honest, I don't even really, don't hate me for this. I don't even really ask about my frame.
Oh,
like
okay.
I'll like check the monitors and see what the
Oh, well,
setup
that's fair.
is.
That's
you know?
fair. Yeah.
That's saving everybody time.
Yeah, just
You
like, oh, that's
get
what
a
we're doing.
peek at the
Okay.
monitor.
No, that's the equivalent of asking that question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's awesome. I always like when we had our Zeiss event last month, we did like a 45-minute workshop on like understanding based off of what lens is called, how that changes your setup. So if you're kind of sat in one position, you can't get to the monitors and everyone seems busy and you can't ask that question.
Yeah.
And so we taught the rule of that ACs know, which is when you say you're on like a 50 millimeter lens, if you put the slate 5 feet away, that fills the frame with the slate. So that's kind of a close up.
Oh.
So as an actor, if you're coming to set and you buzz by camera, you can take a look, oh, I'm on a 35, look at how far you are and estimate based off of that what your frame size is.
Oh, that's
So
great.
if you're nervous, if you're an introvert, if you're like
if you're too scared to ask,
then you can kind of predict already where you're at.
Yeah.
Which
No,
is
I
cool.
love that.
Which is a lot
That's
of fun.
great.
yeah.
I
You don't
do
have to have
love the what's the word I'm looking for? The ownership I feel like I've gained over the years in terms of like wardrobe.
Yeah.
That can be
Cool.
fun to be
Cool.
like,
What do you mean?
well, because I think in the beginning I was like, whatever you want to put me in is fine.
Right.
You know? I have no opinion.
Yeah.
And now to be able to go like, oh yeah, this feels like her. And then like,
Oh, I love that.
you know, being able to
That's
like
cool.
choose the jewelry that she would wear, like choose the wedding ring. I love like choosing the, be like, no, she's a simple gal. She's only, or like, oh no, she wants that
Nice.
rock, you know, that's really fun. And I've also found that wardrobe loves that.
Yeah.
Like they want to be in communication and
Collaborative.
collaboration, you know, versus being like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What do we want to do? The other thing, little note for actors, just get professionally measured and send your professional measurements, especially for females, because our sizes suck and you can be a 4 in one designer and a 10 in another. And it just like, I hated fittings because like the first like 10 outfits never seemed to fit me. And so now I just send off my professional measurements and then
Your numbers.
and they're very happy because they just have like my waist, my hips, you know, and I'm not having to go like, well, if it's really stretchy, I'm a this. I can just send them off and then everything they pull fits me. And then I'm not hating my body or myself.
That is
Yep.
so fun
That's a
too. I
very
just
good
love
note.
that. It's like ticking the box of what do I need as an actor on my
What do I need to
checklist.
do?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go do professional
Just
measurements.
gonna go get
Yeah.
measured.
Just go to like an alterations place and just
Yeah.
say, I need to get measured.
Oh,
I had
that's
to do
really
that for
smart.
the last show that I was on because it was period costumes and I had to fly there and I was flying there like 2 days before the shoot. And so the day before was my fitting and they were having to build my costume. And so they were like, just get professionally measured. And I was like, I have those. Here you go.
Love
Here
it.
you go.
Ooh,
Amazing.
that must feel so good.
It feels
Love
great.
it.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny and weird the way that women's clothes are built. I mean, I guess it's not funny. It's actually infuriating. I hate it.
It's the way you're dealing with it. You're like,
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
it's funny.
so funny.
But when like it seems a weird thing that like a boy would ask me what size of things I wear, but like when you're dating someone, they want you to buy your present, you know, and they're like, "What size are you?" And what size pants do you wear? And you're like, "Well, if it's J Crew." 0, but if it's Abercrombie, a size 30, like depends. Levi's, one size 100. Like,
Am I
they're
dating
like,
the
what are
wrong
you talking
people?
about?
They've never brought me anything related to a clothing size in my life. I guess they just know I like an oversized sweater, and
There you
that's
go.
call it a day.
There you
So
go.
that's hilarious.
We do love an oversized sweater.
But if you're interested in like the history behind women's sizes, I know this is such a weird
do it.
segue.
Yeah, let's do it.
No, that's
Radio
fine.
Lab, I think it's Radio Lab, has a really good podcast episode about it.
Oh,
The
cool.
end. The end. I'll send it to
I
you.
also read an article once on the history of women's pockets because
yes.
like our pockets suck.
Yeah.
But that's on purpose.
It's sexist, yep.
That's on purpose. It's sexist.
So we
We're
don't
not
have to hold
supposed to have
anything?
Do you know there weren't pockets until like what, the 40s or something? Women wore everything they owned on a belt outside of their clothing.
That's pretty cool, though.
It's the same reason why buttons are on the
If
wrong
you
side.
have to.
Like our buttons are
On the other
on the
side?
other side so that other people would have to dress us.
Oh,
Amazing.
I just want coins to become a thing again.
What?
Like so like the Faroe Islands is one of my favorite countries I've ever visited, and the Faroese still have holes in their coins. And that's because in like older, like, I mean, it's still a big fishing community, but fishermen used to, on their belt buckle, have a little hook and you would put the coins on. And so when you would pay for things or get paid, you just put it on there. And I love it. I don't know why. I'm just like jiggling
you can
around.
Wear a necklace with your money on it.
Yeah, your money.
Exactly. So, pockets and coins, please. Which is like, I'd like holes in my coins.
U.S. Mint. Can we talk about that? Call us.
Anyways, actors. So, that's great.
Yeah.
Will you tell us about your self-tape setup?
Sure.
What's your tech in there?
What would you
Like,
like to know?
how are you? Everything. Like, what kind of tripod are you using? Are you doing this on your phone?
Sure.
How are you using that phone? Are you zooming in? Are you zooming out?
I have the most boring self-tape setup.
Tell us everything.
I have a backdrop from the Amazons.
Is it a cloth backdrop?
It is a cloth backdrop.
Okay.
For the longest time, I was using a gray jersey sheet, and everyone loved it. Casting would always be like, "I love your background," and then the same conversation they would tell
jersey
someone
sheet.
else, "Never use a sheet. We can always tell it's a sheet." And I was like, "Mine's a sheet."
Yeah.
But it's jersey,
Because
so
it's
it doesn't
jersey.
look like sheety.
Exactly. It doesn't look like a sheet. So I used that for a very long time, but then it just became a hassle to take up, put up and take down. But hit the mic. Sorry.
You're good.
But my backdrop now is from Amazon, and it's like a gray teal color, and that was important to me because I am so pasty pale that if I do the monochrome like blue or green, my skin will become blue and green.
You know this struggle.
I know. I tried to switch to like a cute blue color one year, and it was worst idea ever.
It's important, like what you're shooting in front of, and like what it does to your skin is important.
It matters.
It matters.
You gotta know your colors. You gotta know if
do.
you're a spring, winter, or fall.
I am a muted summer.
Amazing.
I had this done.
Did Buckley do that for you?
No, Rain Parvis did that for
Okay,
me.
Rain Parvis.
It's the only reason I'm wearing this orchid color.
It's beautiful.
because- Thank you. It is one of my muted summer colors.
It looks great.
Thank you. But this is also really helpful to know because if I'm playing someone who's like sick and dying, I wear the opposite.
Yes.
Because then that looks horrible. on
Yeah.
camera.
Things you can use.
Yeah, things you can use.
Okay,
So-
how are you setting up that backdrop? Are you taping it, tacking it? Is it on a stand?
It's on a stand.
Okay.
And then I have just a old boring tripod from, again, the Amazons. I'm taping on my phone.
Yep.
And I'm not using a mic other than the one that's on the phone. I
No
have
directional, nothing.
no,
Just
nothing.
amazing.
That's, I mean, like it's like the very simple setup.
Guys, this woman books series regulars.
It's a very
You don't have
simple
to have
setup.
crazy expensive
No,
stuff.
no. I mean, I think my tripod's like $30.
Amazing.
And then I have a laptop tripod stand that I will put my coach on or my reader on who I'm zooming with, and then a ring light. And that's it.
Amazing.
That's it.
It is like your trunk idea. You had the trunk idea, right?
Yeah, actor trunks.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like asking actors their self-tape setup is such a fun little, like, the variations everyone has.
Yeah.
How do you place your ring light, though?
I place it right behind my tripod, unless I'm doing something where I need to look older, and then I will typically place it to the side.
Okay. And for eye line, are you usually looking kind of close to the camera or far away?
Honestly,
it depends.
It depends, and like where I put my eye line depends because this part of my face is prettier than this part of my face.
You're so funny.
Knowing what you look like and being secure enough in that is important.
Yeah. Oh, I was at a photo shoot, and the photographer was like, "Do you have a side that you prefer?" And I was like, "I think this side's better." And so we were shooting on that side, and he was like, and my sweet, lovely manager was like, "That's not true. You both sides are beautiful," being really kind. And she was like, "Let's just shoot the other side, like why not? Let's do." So I turned, and everyone on set was like, "Oh wow, oh, like,
oh my god!"
And I was like, "Told y'all." And then
I knew it.
I told you. And then my manager goes, "Oh my god, she's like a different person." And then she was like, "But this is really great. Let's get pictures on this side because it's like a different character."
Different character. You do different people.
Yeah. And I'm like in a weird in between phase right now with my casting. So where I'm like, like late 20s, and I'm not late 20s, or it's like late 30s, early 40s. So if this is my late 20s side, this is my late 30s side. So
amazing. I have a victim side and like a doe-eyed baby side. Yeah.
Same with like hair and makeup and wardrobe and all of that stuff. You got to take all of that into consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I have like a self-tape closet that's just clothes that I only use for self-tapes.
Okay, wait. Burying
That's
the
pretty
lead.
cool. That's
Okay,
pretty cool.
so is it a walk-in closet?
No, it's like just like a double door open
Okay.
closet.
And you have clothes in there with
clothes in
you
there.
while you're taping?
Well, not while I'm taping. They're just like in there, and then when I'm taping, I'm like, oh, I need to wear that like 50s thing. It's like all in there.
Oh,
it's like
you
a
have
closet.
a self-tape closet of clothes. You're
Yeah.
not taping inside.
Correct.
Oh,
I'm not-
she thought it was like you open it up and it's already prepared. There's no clothes in it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was like
Oh.
a studio.
No, so what I've done, and I'll show you all this when y'all come over next week if you want to see it. So
Yeah.
the garage, the previous owners had already converted the garage into like a separate area. So there's like an AC unit down there, and the floors are epoxied, and there's a voiceover booth. And so I just keep all the self-tape stuff down there set up ready to go. And
The
then
dream.
and then there's just a closet that I have clothes in.
MTV Cribs, but like
I
actor self-tape
know.
setups. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next week.
Tour of your garage.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, yeah. Perfect. And then how do you edit?
And I'll also just say, you don't need to have that.
No,
You know?
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but it is
It's just-
probably nice.
It's just convenient to not have
Yeah.
to set everything up and take everything down, but you certainly do not need that. I'll also say this too. Everything I own for my self-tape setup, I can travel with. It's all portable, including my ring light. It's a small, tiny ring light, but it's really powerful. And so I can take that on the planes with me, Take that on the planes with me. So when I travel
all
on the
the
planes,
on many planes.
when I travel on the planes, I always have my self-tape set up with me because as we all know, that is when you always get an audition, is when you book the plane ticket.
It's the same thing with like work for me. It's like it's a little slow right now. I guess I'll go away. And then I literally took like a road trip. I've never been to Northern California. Did a road trip on my own and was like, I'm going to stop at every little beach town along the way. A day into my trip of this like 8-day trip I was going to take, someone was like, can you operate on this commercial? And I was like, and this was like literally when I just moved to LA and I'd never been on a commercial before. And I was like, my God, yes. And so I drove right back down overnight.
No.
Yeah, and I've still never made it up to
Oh my
Northern
God, we'll
California.
have to go.
Gotta
I
go to
know.
Monterey.
We should
I know.
go. To answer your question, I just edit on iMovie.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love an
Easy.
iMovie.
I mean, y'all, I'm telling you, I'm not doing anything fancy.
Yeah.
Like nothing fancy.
You don't
Yeah.
need to.
You don't need to. You really
You just
don't.
gotta know where to place stuff. If you're using a sheet, iron it.
Yeah,
And that's
that's it. I mean, I've also booked things that I've shot like in hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You know, like as long as your work is stronger than your background.
Yes.
You know, like you don't want your background to be so distracting, but and I'm not saying that you don't need a good background, but you know, sometimes people are like, I have to turn on this audition because I didn't take my stuff with me and I'm in a hotel. I'm like, just tape it. Just tape it.
Oh, we helped Haley film, a director friend and I helped Haley film a self-tape on top of a bed in Poland when we were traveling for a film festival.
See?
Yeah.
Because we had a white wall there and we're like, but you're going to have to stand on the bed. And so what you had to do your slate, a full
My
body
full
slate.
body, I
and
just
she had to
jumped.
step on the comforter and she just jumped instead because
Jumped
she
on
was
the
like,
bed.
"Bop."
So
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
was
gonna pretend
hilarious.
I'm not standing on a bed right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the most important thing that I've heard / learned is like casting wants to see you, casting wants to hear you, and like they don't want the background to be distracting.
Yeah.
So like open a window and stand close to it and turn off all the lights behind you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of people are creative. Actually, I was at a screening the other night for a man called Otto.
Oh.
And the director during the panel, Mark, the director, was saying that the woman who plays Marisol, I forgot her name. I think it's Mariana. Her self-tape was unhinged.
Oh, cool.
She was in a hotel room and reading every part herself
Oh,
and like
bless.
holding the camera. Like it was outrageous.
It's
but
fantastic.
she was perfect for the character. They didn't see anybody else.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like there are kind of rules, but also like
You can break them
you
too.
can break them.
I think you just have to be smart with how you break them.
Mhm.
You know, there are plenty of people now where it's like, this audition is supposed to take place in a kitchen. Like the scene is in a kitchen, so I'm just going to do this in my kitchen, you know? And I think that it's like it can be risky. It can also work. But if it doesn't work, it really doesn't work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
clean your kitchen before you do that.
yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
Alex, where are you at in your career what are you looking forward to? What do you want more of? What are you excited about?
Oh wow, what a question.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best pieces of acting advice I got was that, well, the way he framed it was not very uplifting. The way he framed it was everybody's fucked. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, no matter what level you're at, you're always looking at the people above you and you're
Right.
going, how do I get to that level? And I like to think about it. It's not that everybody's fucked. It's that we're all in this together.
Yes.
And that
I
there's
like that.
always growth and that you've never like made it. Like no one is ever like, oh, I'm done. Like we're always striving to do more. And so, I know that's not really answering your question, but like, I think I say that because I think me 2 years ago would have been like, oh, as soon as I get a guest star, I'm good. Like, then I'm like, I know that like I'm a legitimate actor.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now that I've had guest stars,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, as soon as like you still don't feel like a legitimate
It's always
actor.
this like catching up to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's something that whenever I have actors who have like really impressive credits when they come to speak to my students, I always say like, was there a moment when you felt like you made it? And they're always like, what? No, and it's like, that's so interesting because I look at them and I'm like, oh, they've made it.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm constantly redefining for myself, like what I'm looking forward to next or like what the next like marker is,
which is healthy.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think so. I guess just continue to do work. I'm really lucky in the sense that my reps, like the auditions that they get me, or it's work that I'm really excited about. And so I guess that's what I'm looking forward to is continuing to do work. And by work, I mean auditions and then hopefully booking them. But because that's still work. That is still the work. And I think sometimes we forget that as actors is like every time we get an audition, that is the work. And we're so lucky.
I
so
love
fortunate
that
to be able to
because
do that.
that is something where it's like people when you maybe they like at a networking event or people you're just meeting like, what are you working on right now? And people don't. When I talk to actors now, they don't take into account all of the work that happens full time with auditions and checking and self tape. Like it's crazy. So I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and like I think the more we can see that work, the audition work, as fulfilling work, as artistically fulfilling work, not only are you going to book, but you're also going to stay sane and stay fulfilled. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because I think we don't consider it. It's like, oh, when I do my work, people assume that you mean when you're on set. But no, it's always work. It's beautiful work. And so I look forward to continuing to do that. Like every time I get sent an audition or a script, it's so cool to be like, I try to see every audition as like a little art project where it's like, I get to explore this. Like what an honor, what a gift it is to be able to be this person, even if it's just for this 5 minutes of this self-tape. Like I get to be this and be in this world and I just get to send it off and hopefully they like it and I can come back and do it again. But if not, like I'm still doing my craft. And the more we can think about it that way and less about like, oh, this is a job interview or like, what do they want? Or I have to jump through this hoop. Then it's so the work becomes fun and it becomes playful.
Takes the stress off.
Yeah.
As well.
So that's what I'm looking forward to is just continuing to be excited with every new piece of work that's sent my way.
Fantastic.
For you, Alex.
Yes.
Are there any great resources that you like or that have helped you find your way?
Oh my God, so many.
Some of your faves.
Oh my God. Okay. Obvious one, but I do love it. IMDb Pro. I think a lot of people don't know how to use IMDb Pro.
No, yeah.
But like they have like a tracking
Oh yeah.
thing on there, the
We use
connections
that stuff
thing.
all the time, man.
I love it. It's great. IMDb Pro, best friend. And then this is going to sound like so nerdy, but it's just true for me. Plays. Even if you don't want to do theater, I think plays are such a great tool for understanding story, for understanding character. So plays. Showfax, great place to find sides. There's a media tropes site that's really fun, especially if you're like trying to understand your artistic voice. If you're like, oh, I really love this character in this film, it'll show you similar characters in other films, and so that you can kind of track like
great.
what you're right for.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Very cool. And also, you have a fantastic actor resource.
you.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. I would say that is probably my favorite actor.
Yes.
So yeah, the Delta acting community, I started it a few years ago because I basically wanted to build the thing that I felt like I needed when I was in my career and the things I still need in my career. So we focus on what I think are the 3 sides of a successful acting life, and that's mindset, technique, and business. So we cover those 3 aspects, hence the Delta. And we have a Facebook community where we do monthly networking events. That's where y'all will be joining us.
Yeah.
We have a book and play club. We have biweekly group coaching calls. Every day they get a resource. We have themes for each month. So like this month we're doing our January intensive where each week we're focusing on a specific actor goal. So this past week it was building and maintaining relationships within the industry. The week before that was like typing and branding. And then we have a members portal, and the members portal is just like, oh my God, like hundreds of
And
resources.
we have checked it out. And Haley is so excited about it too.
I'm overwhelmed because it's so much.
It's
it is
awesome.
so much
Thank you.
support, and like the databases alone.
Yeah, you
are,
do a
like,
great job
so
of archiving
impressive.
it all
Thank
too,
you.
and having
Thank
it
you.
there for
It's been a labor of love, but I love it. I use it all the time. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this. It's like we have templates, we have self-tape equipment lists, we have casting director resources, we have pitching resources, we have scripts and sides and accent drives and technique books. I mean, really kind of a one-stop shop for everything you would need as an actor. Also because it's kind of like what you're saying with the lab, with this thing of like, okay, so ballerinas have the ballet bar. What do actors have? And I try to have the members area be that, so that there's always something you can be doing for your career, your business, your technique, or your mindset every day.
I love that. Where can we find you?
Oh,
Alex?
yes. You can find me on the gram.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram at _Alexandra Wright. It's _Delta Community.
Yeah. We always ask everybody who comes on here to sing us out. So you pick, do a verse, a little
We'll
tune.
join you, maybe.
Yeah. She'll probably join you.
Can it just be sounds?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like a na 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 Jones na 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 Jones da na 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 na.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
We will link everything below so you can check out the Delta Acting community as well as Alex's amazing work, and stay involved with the CFA Delta collabs that will be happening
Sweet.
this year.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Alex. Bye.